Okay, so this is going to be a video about interviews and applying to interviews as well at Inns of Court and getting bar scholarships. So if you're someone who's going to be applying for the bar, keep watching. So yes, guys, I'm Faith B. I'm a law conversion master's student in the bar next year. This is a very, very quick response video to Esther A's question. So thanks, Esther, for your great question about interview prep and what I was talking about in my former video and querying that as well. So in my former video, I was talking about the Inner Temple and I was talking about preparation for scholarships. Hence why today in the backdrop I have a photograph of the Inner Temple website. So again, it's about kind of referencing that as well. So do reference the Inn of Court website before you do launch into interview. Now, in terms of what you're actually thinking about, what you actually need to do, depends on what stage of the interview that you're at. But I'm going to give you three main tips really today in today's video about preparing and what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about when I say, for example, that we should have thoughts about the law, and how that is key in terms of giving the interviewer some confidence and allowing them to ascertain your views as well and your knowledge. Had a quick call come through, but yeah, what we're talking about here is three things. So we need to have general awareness of the law. So I'm talking about key concepts: rule of law, justice, fairness, rights and responsibility. If you're interested in kind of human rights law, human rights act, key statutes as well, you have to have a basic or a rudimentary understanding of that so you can talk to that or talk about that particular topic. Different branches of law, I'm talking civil, criminal, public. You don't have to be Mike Ross, but you do have to have some understanding of the different branches and types of law in the United Kingdom. Current legal affairs, high profile cases, legal changes. For example, we see in UK legal news recently, the UK Parliament passed an emergency law to control British Steel, or for example, it might be talking about Prince Harry's legal battle over UK police protection, etc., etc., etc. Again, having some awareness of what's going on there. Next, point 2 is about if you're going deeper into the interview process, or if you're applying for a role in a specific part of law, then having thoughts on specific areas becomes more important. So let's distinguish now interviews around Inn of Court compared to interviews for pupillage or for law courses. Now, when we're talking about pupillage, you do have to be aware of the chamber that you're applying for, but this video is all about Inn of Court, so I will make another video about applying to pupillage and kind of what I'm going to do to prepare for my own interviews at pupillage. But back to the Inn of Court. So Inn of Court now, because you're going to be applying for an Inn of Court bar scholarship as a whole, they might require you to be more well-rounded. So we're talking about looking at thoughts on criminal justice, for example, or you might want to say, okay, when talking to the interviewer, your written responses might have demonstrated a passion for criminal law, so you have to know about criminal law. But one question that usually crops up based on barristers I've been networking with and events I've attended is why criminal and not civil, or why civil and not criminal? What have you done to show you don't want to do that? Similar question is why for example, why a barrister, not a solicitor? Or talking about why you want to be a barrister specifically and why not a solicitor, because that is a good job also, but it looks at different aspects of different skills are being used there, yet it is still legal. So you have to have some reason as to why you don't want to be a solicitor and why you want to be a barrister. Again, that comes from your own personal thoughts and experiences, but I can definitely share with you guys my thoughts as well, what I'm going to be doing, because I will be applying to the Gray's Inn Bar scholarships when they open in the next cycle, and I will also be applying for pupillage in January, and I will be applying for the bar also. So yeah, lots more to come. Let's now talk a little bit about what we're talking about. So again, going back to these specific areas, I'm now saying, for example, if you want to do human rights law, you have to know a little bit about the Human Rights Act, a little bit about the European Convention on Human Rights, and just really slightly how it intersects with the Human Rights Act. I'm not asking you to say, section 15 or whatever. Just have some awareness of what it actually stands for and what rights it grants to citizens. And also be aware of some kind of human rights challenges and key debates as well. If it's commercial, if you have expressed an interest in commercial, show an interest in recent business law developments, mergers and acquisitions, or intellectual property, for example. I know it's the same thing when you're applying to for training contracts. I was at Linklaters a couple of weeks ago, and what they spoke about was you have to demonstrate experience and kind of awareness, commercial awareness as well. So the same thing does extend to barristers and aspiring barristers. So yeah, that is a very, very brief whistle-stop tour between about kind of what you need to know. I'd say the key is to start broad and then whittle down into different concepts. I mean, for myself, I can only speak about myself. When I'm going to Gray's Inn, obviously Gray's Inn is a little bit different because you only get an interview when, you know, if they're impressed. But God willing that I do get an interview, what I will be doing is, because I'm interested in public law, I'm interested in public law in terms of admin law and constitutional law, I will be making sure to understand that, first of all, in the UK we have an uncodified constitution compared to other countries such as the US with a codified constitution, and whittling down why I want to do public law as opposed to, for example, civil law or whatever. So again, you have to have those responses ready. Be natural, be confident, don't doubt yourself, because you want the interviewer wants you to succeed. They want you to do well, but you have to just take your time to think about your answers in advance, because planning prevents poor performance. And so when we're thinking about that as well, we want to make sure that you are tailoring your focus. So again, with step one is to start broad, have a general understanding of the legal landscape. Then we're going to tailor our focus to the specific area of law you're interviewing for, or the specific area of law that you have expressed in your form that has given you the interview. For example, if you're doing Gray's Inn where you're being chosen because of your academic prowess, you have to be specific with Inner Temple, for example, that you're going to get into anyway. So start thinking about what you want to convey and what legal knowledge you want to demonstrate to the interviewer that you have actually in your arsenal. And finally, really doing your research, your personal individualized research on the Inn of Court as well, and also on the type of law. The Inn of Courts want you to have an awareness of them as an Inn of Court. There are 4 Inn of Courts to choose from. You've got Middle Temple, you've got Inner Temple, you've got Lincoln's Inn, you've got Gray's Inn. You have to know why you want to go to that particular Inn of Court as well. They are going to ask you why us, for example, why us instead of Gray's, and etc. So they don't just say something like, oh well, because I can get an interview. You want to say something more niche. You might want to say, if we're talking about Inner Temple, for example, we might want to just Google Inner Temple and think about what comes up. It might be something historical. For example, literally in their bio on the website, which is www.innertemple.co.uk, which is where I got this page from. It literally says how they welcome aspiring barristers from around the world and provide the highest standards of specialist advocacy training, ethics and commitment, etc. So you might just want to say, well, from somebody, let's for example, you're an international student, you might say, well, for somebody who wasn't actually born in the UK or is from a different cultural background, I want to do this. Or it might be you're born in the UK, but you want to intersect with different cultures. So again, it's about understanding what that particular Inn of Court does. As you can see, guys, I'm very passionate about this, because even in myself, I'm thinking about what I'm actually going to say to make sure that it sounds right. And finally, I'd say, guys, you all have the ability, but make sure that you practice as well with someone else. It might be with a family member. You might be with a fellow friend or peer on the law course you're doing or whatever. But sitting down with somebody and articulating your responses in a coherent and succinct manner. So yeah. Hope that clears everything up. Esther A, thank you for posing the question and following up. All the best with your interviews. Let me know if you have any questions about applications, everyone, or about interviews. Same for you, Esther, as well. It goes to everyone. If you have questions, comment down below. And I'll make another video, if need be, about kind of applying for general kind of interviews, maybe interviews around the actual kind of pupilages as well, because I will be applying for pupillage in January when the gateway reopens. So, yeah, again, yeah, have a great day, everyone. Happy Sunday. And remember, it's not an event. It is a journey that you all can succeed in. Follow for more, subscribe and comment down below. Save this video to your favorites if it's been very useful, and share it with others. Bye, everyone.